Hi everyone. So I recently saw a tweet come out from a pro club offering a goalkeeper coach's role, I believe in an RTC, and the role was stated that the hourly rate was £10. It also stated that they need a UEFA B license goalkeeping, access to their own travel. Obviously, if you have a goalkeeping B license, you also need an outfield UEFA B license as well. So the qualifications you need kind of rack up, and it caused a bit of a stir and a bit of controversy on Twitter. So I thought I'd do a quick blog about it and my thoughts. My thoughts are not really to kind of slate pro clubs or anything like that. My thoughts are more about what actually will be the consequences of offering low rates in the longer term and how might that affect the game. So it's not a pro club bashing blog by any means. But with those qualifications you'd need to get this job, you're probably looking at least 2.5K's worth of qualifications, as well as years and years of work and voluntary hours and gaining experiences, increasing your network, gaining a good reputation. So you put a huge amount of work into it to get this opportunity to go and work at a club. And the difficulty for that is they then put out adverts where they're saying, we'll pay you £10 an hour to do this. This isn't rare. I've seen this non-stop over social media, adverts, and people comment on it that some of them want you for minimum wage, realistically less than minimum wage once you put your travel and your paperwork hours into it. A lot of these roles ask, especially analyst roles, they want you for free. They won't pay you at all, but you need a degree, you need experience. And I suppose for a lot of coaches, they see this as a pathway to get to the top. It's an opportunity to get to the top. Now, I'm a big believer that you can get to the top of the game if you put the commitment into it. But most people aren't willing to make the sacrifices that it takes to get to the top, which is fine. That's not a criticism of anyone in particular. But what will happen is when you get these jobs, there'll be a huge amount of applications, and the supply will outstrip the demand hugely. So what are the consequences going to be? First of all, I think you're going to lose a lot of coaches from the game, and you're going to keep losing coaches from the game because they've got life commitments that they can't give up all that time for football. And you're talking about really good coaches here. And will it actually, one of the first things happen, will it get to a tipping point where it goes, you either need to pay more money to get staff or there's not enough staff? If there's not enough staff, academies are going to close. And although academies sometimes get criticised for not producing enough players for their own first teams, there is a trickle down, and it is a good learning environment, in my opinion, that players then trickle down and they do eventually find their level. So what will happen with that? Secondly, you lose a lot of people with experience and knowledge. And this tends to be maybe older coaches that have been in the game for a while. It is good to bring new ideas in, bring younger coaches in with fresh ideas, ambition. But I think you can always learn from experienced people around you. You take the good things that they do and you adapt it into how you want to coach and how you do things. So I think you're going to lose that as well. And the amount of time that younger coaches coming in, they're spending the game now is less and less as well. So there's a turnover every 2 or 3 years where it probably used to be a lot longer. And third, most coaches are now coming out of the pro game and going into private coaching. So I obviously employ a lot of coaches that work for me. I've had a couple of coaches recently that run franchises that have just gone and bought their first houses and got mortgages, where I think actually if you were working in a pro club, you've got no chance of getting a house and a mortgage based on the salaries that you're going to get paid. So they'll drop out and then work privately, where again, you're taking a good standard of coaches out of the game. So that's where I think it potentially could go. And that's one of the big dangers of the low rates that are always offered. But it will soon, for me, get to a tipping point where something's got to change. I suppose something for me is that my experience is probably lower category academies and what I see obviously on social media and stuff. But I'm not that experienced with category 1 academies and the real big clubs who, from what I hear, do pay a decent wage and they do pay their coaches an amount that helps them with their lives. So this is not a blanket of all clubs. But yeah, more than happy to debate this. You can connect with me on the social media channels that are below and we can carry on the chat, and it'll be interesting to get your thoughts. And anyone that's after some coaching practices can join our coaches club for free on Facebook or YouTube as well, where we're sharing more stuff like this, as well as some practices, some sessions, and loads more stuff about coaching.